Here's another for you.
Oh, yes, OK, this is a clip from George Méliès's Voyage to the Moon. That's a nuclear explosion. There was some story this week about, was it during the Cold War, the Americans were debating about whether they should blow up the moon with nuclear weapons. I didn't quite see what they thought the point with that would be.
It's because Hans Blix had told them that the clangers had weapons of mass destruction. Obviously, the little boy was the bomb they dropped on Hiroshima, so they were looking at something a lot bigger. It was called a fat man. Would you like to see a picture of a fat man?
Yeah.
See? This is the actual bomb. You thought we were going to show you something like this. No.
It's Eric Pickles. He's a member of the cabinet. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, I certainly have, but I didn't realise he was that large.
What was the reason why they wanted to do this?
It was like, I think it was sort of posturing, because the Russians had launched Sputnik, so they wanted to make a statement and surprise the Russians by blowing up the moon. Yeah, nothing happened.
Sanity prevailed.
Yeah, because there were doubts over what effect a moon blast could have on Earth, including tidal patterns. Talking of which, floods in this country have now got serious because a celebrity has been affected. Which celebrity?
What are the initials?
PD.
Is it P. Diddy?
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels!
He lives by the River Thames.
Correct.
He lives on a little island.
Yeah.
Yes. Paul Daniels said this week that he was furious with the council and that his house was currently under about 2 foot of flooding.
He's been flooded every year for years and he keeps moaning about it. Get a sandbag, for God's sake.
Weird, is it, if you live next to the Thames and then complain about flooding?
In the Thames.
It's like moving in next door to Ryan Giggs and then complaining when he bangs your wife. Like... You surely knew when you moved into the area. This is America's plan in the 1950s to blow up the moon. The plan to fire a nuclear missile at the moon was codenamed Project A119, although its purpose was later downgraded to finding a way of connecting Hartford and Stevenage. That is the actual road. Meanwhile, on Earth, the UK was again hit by widespread flooding. One of the people affected was magician Paul Daniels. He was stranded in his house. The emergency services said despite frantic efforts, they were running out of excuses not to rescue him.
I've never watched an election a U.S. election unfold overnight from London, from watching the BBC overnight. And that's the way, if you want to watch America go down the dumper, watch it through the befuddled nocturnal fog of a man named Andrew Neil. Watch him. A man, he's just barely on top of everything. And he just sits there, and he had other people beside him. He looks like he's squeezed in like this. And then when they're not there, he still looks like he's squeezed in. Like his body's trying to eject itself. And he comes out, and he's trying to explain the Electoral College, and he doesn't quite, nobody quite gets it, because it's impossible to explain, and it just, somebody's got to get it 270. Somebody, and now you're watching his scoreboard at a bowling alley, and then finally they give up, and they just bring out this guy who just dances on a map. He just he dances on a map, and he's trying to show all the states with his feet. He's going like, oh, there's Wisconsin, and there's Ohio, and oh, there's a red state turning blue. Oh, I mean, Christ. Trump is becoming president, and the guy's playing Twister. And then finally, you know, there's just at the top of Andrew Neil's head, spray-on thatch thing, and comes back up at 6:30 and says, Trump's president, and great, Trump's president, I'm watching an acorn talk to me.
The longest TV review I've ever heard.
America?
Yes, of course, they've just had these midterm elections. There's Sarah Palin, Ian's favourite. And then there's Obama, the president, who is not doing very well at the moment. The American people, 1 in 4 think he's Muslim, 1 in 10 think he's a terrorist, 1 in 50 think he's a holiday they took in Mexico in 1968.
In the last US election, it was hockey moms. Who are the rabid right-wing Republican banshees these days? What are they called now?
Mama Grizzlies.
Mama Grizzly and the Tea Party.
Sarah Palin said Mama Grizzlies are ordinary people with common sense who just kind of know when something is wrong.
That's good.
When she was nominated for vice president, the head of the Republican Party in Alaska was asked what her qualifications for high office were. And he paused, and she said, she's the right age, and she's an American citizen.
She gave a radio interview. The host said, "How would you handle a situation like the one that just developed in North Korea?" Palin, "Obviously, we've got to stand with our North Korean allies." To which the host replied, "South Korean." Yeah, said Palin.
How's Bill Clinton been helping out?
Oh, God, has he been campaigning for them? Is that why they've lost so badly? It's that awful moment when Neil Kinnock says, "I support you as a candidate."
I think he'd be good for them, wouldn't he, though?
Do you? You liked him? You liked Bill Clinton?
I thought he seemed like a very nice man.
Did you meet him?
I have met him once, actually, yes.
Was he at one of your concerts?
No, he wasn't. He made me feel very special. He came...
Did you keep the dry cleaning receipt?
On the eve of the election, Bill Clinton made his own contribution to the campaign. According to The Times, Mr. Clinton went through 9 different states, including arousal, ecstasy, exhaustion and guilt.
What's going to happen at Buckingham Palace at precisely 12:30 a.m?
Oh, they're turning the lights off.
They absolutely are.
And all the foreign crews are furious, because their audiences will have just woken up. So when all the American broadcasters want to stand outside Buckingham Palace and say, "Here I am live," it's going to be completely dark. Selfish of us. Why couldn't we time the wedding to be in the middle of the night here, then the Americans could watch? And I hope there are ad breaks, so that NBC can shove in an advert for, what is it, nachos they have?
According to the Telegraph, Kate has invited her very first boyfriend, Willem Marks.
I like Williams that are too posh to bother with the E bit.
It's very posh.
Willem. What's your name?
Is it Bill, Will, William, Willem? There's even a video wedding book for the public to sign. So let's have a look at some of the messages of goodwill and affection that have been left so far. Royal wedding will cost in one day half what the UK spends yearly on help for the unemployed.
Oh, lovely.
May their long and happy marriage be the last one of the monarchy of the UK. Vast numbers of people couldn't give the tiniest shit. Do I need to do this number 6 once?
Do Helen Mirren.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, that's
right.
nice. We'd all like to do Helen Mirren, but we're doing a bloody quiz show, mate. That's what we're doing here.
Helen Mirren played the Queen, of course.
Oh, right, yes, yeah.
And here she is talking about John Gielgud on BBC Breakfast News.
So that always inspired me. He always took kind of edgy choices.
Yes, and he swore a lot, as I remember. And there was
well, in that sort of wonderful voice you had.
Exactly. that was
you
the
little
comedy.
shit.
Oh, no, you can't say it.
Sorry.
Take that back. That never happened.
No, it was in the original
pre-recorded this time.
If you heard that, we're very sorry.
If, as a result of his presidency, the world does indeed end, won't it be marvellous to think it happened in our time?
He might change what the word presidential means. Like, in a few years, you'll be going, "Oh, my uncle fell over and banged his head on a curb. He's been rendered completely presidential."
He dismissed the head of the FBI this week.
Comey, James Comey?
Mr. Comey was dismissed.
Comey over.
Because he was...
investigating his connections with Russia.
And now there's an inquiry. Who's been put in charge of the inquiry?
They've got a special prosecutor.
A former
Yeah,
head
former
of the
FBI.
And then when you open up that special prosecutor, there'll be another little special prosecutor. You open up, there'll be another and eventually a little bloke saying, "Did you do it?"
Robert Mueller?
He's Robert Mueller, who was the former FBI director. James Comey's done something to get his revenge on Trump. Any idea
He has
what it is?
produced his memo.
Oh,
he
yes,
kept
he
a
should
memorandum.
notes, didn't he?
Yes.
After Trump tweeted that he had kept, or suggested he might have kept a recording of the dinner that took place in February, Comey then came back to say, well, I kept a memorandum.
And he said, "Will you drop the Russian stuff?" So basically, he accused him of literally trying to interfere in the process of justice. And the Americans don't like that very much. So it is all going wrong.
Yeah.
And then the best bit was Putin, who was like, "Oh, if you want the transcript, we've got one."
How did Trump's administration respond to Comey's leak?
With confusion.
With incredible confusion. According to online news website Daily Beasts, one official said, "I felt like running down the hallway with a fire extinguisher."
Because last week we weren't on because it was children with knees, and we had. But I obviously have not read a paper, so this just sounds all so absurd.
Oh, there's more.
Is there more?
Yeah, Trump's proposed to the Queen. And she's accepted, and the wedding is next year. They're going to have it in Trump Tower. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm best man.
Are you?
He hasn't actually appointed him. I mean,
but by a Twitter. I mean, that's real, isn't it?
the president isn't actually allowed to appoint our ambassador yet.
No. Thankfully
not on Twitter. If he does it on Facebook, it's legally binding.
So it was a late-night tweet from Trump. Do you remember roughly what it said?
It said that many people think that Nigel Farage would make an excellent ambassador between the UK and the US, or
That's
something
many
along
in the
those
sense of one.
I responded to Donald Trump and I said, name them.
This is exactly what he said. Many people would like to see Nigel Farage represent Great Britain as their ambassador to the United States. He would do a great job.
Donald Trump doesn't even follow Nigel Farage on Twitter, which is a massive digital slap in the face.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, he doesn't even follow him, so he doesn't think he's that great a job. He doesn't think he's got top pants online.
Do you know Can anyone remember? You remember Christopher Mayer, who was Tony Blair's ambassador to the US?
Yeah.
Do you remember what his instruction was?
Yeah. Get as drunk as possible and then avoid everybody.
It was pretty nearly that.
Was it?
He was told to get as far up George Bush's arse as you can.
Exactly. It was exactly... We want you to go...
Is he allowed to use crampons? Is he?
We want you to get up the arse of the White House and stay there. So that's the brief. Actually, maybe Nigel Farage is qualified.
Well, Blair did it himself. He didn't actually need an ambassador.
Now, who'd like to see a picture of Farage, quite possibly the happiest moment in his life? I think that's the door into Trump Tower.
It is fantastic. Have you seen the pictures of inside? It's sort of late Gaddafi, the perhaps early Saddam, but it's a riot of vulgar dictator chic. It is.
Meanwhile, how is Theresa May's special relationship with Trump coming along?
Very good.
Very good. He said to her, if you're ever over, do drop in.
Let me
made
know.
that up. That was it.
If you're coming over, let me know. That's what you say to the couple you don't like on holiday, isn't it?